Okay, class, so we're going to go over our reading strategies, okay? So we have done a few of these passages in class, some together, some on our own. So we're going to look at this one together just to refresh your memory on our steps, and then you're going to do your own passage modeling the steps that we're going over right now, okay? So first thing, does anybody remember what we do first before we begin any reading or any questions? Kaylee. I heard underline, but what are you underlining? The paragraphs? Oh, no, we don't have to underline each paragraph, but you did have the underline part right. We're going to underline the title. The only reason we do this is just to make sure you actually take the time to read the title. Sometimes it can give you important clues, right, when you read the title, right, Gregory? Curtain call. Have you ever heard that phrase before, curtain call? Okay, well, it has to do with theater or performing. So a curtain call is at the end of the show, and they ask you to come back out one more time, and they do another, they can do another scene, or they just come out and they say goodbye and introduce themselves. Okay, that's what a curtain call is. So you know this has to be something about theater, maybe movies, acting, something like that. Okay, the next step is what Kaylee said. What is it? Now, underline. Not yet. What do we do with the paragraphs? Number the paragraphs. There you go. So the N is number the paragraphs. And how do we know where a paragraph begins? There's an indentation, right? We call this little space right here an indentation. So I can tell this is a paragraph. Here is a paragraph. And here is a paragraph. So how many paragraphs do I have? 3. Okay, next step. We want to walk through the question. So the W stands for walk through the questions. So all that means is we're going to read the questions first before we begin reading. Okay, number 1 says, how did Joseph feel when he didn't get the role of Simba? So they're talking about what movie? Or play. Yeah, The Lion King. Okay, so we know we're going to be reading about The Lion King. Something about Simba and The Lion King. What did Joseph, or how did Joseph feel when he didn't get the role of Simba? So as we're reading, we need to be paying attention for that answer. Number 2, what is a director of a play? Okay, so you need to know what a director is. And number 3, have you ever worked hard for something and not gotten it? Explain. We're just going over the questions right now, okay? The next step starts with an R. What would we do next? Read the passage or read the paragraphs. Read the article or passage. Same thing. 2 more letters. A and then P. A would be what? Answer. And what do I like you to do? No, A, how do we answer the questions though? In a complete sentence, right? And we will practice that. We restate the question to start our answer. And then the P, prove. Prove your answers, which means what? How do I prove an answer? How do you prove answers on a reading passage? What have we done in the past? We had to go back up in the paragraph, underline, and put Q, Q1, Q2, Q3. Good. Okay, so if I find answer to question 1 in the first paragraph, then I go underline it and put Q1 next to where I found it. Okay? All right, now let's read this passage, and then we will go through all the rest of the steps, which is read, answer, and prove. Anybody want to read? All right, Kelsey. New. Fit. Is. The weekend. Wait. Most of the weekend practicing lines and talking about the play. You skip that line. Okay, I'll read from here because it is kind of hard to see from back here because it's a little bit smaller. During the tryouts, Joseph watched the other kids tryouts, but his mind kept thinking about what it would be like to be in the middle of the stage and having one of the most important roles. He just knew he would get the part. Towards the end of the afternoon, the director called all the kids together to announce who would have each part. Much to his surprise, Joseph's name was called for the role of Scar, Simba's uncle. Joseph couldn't help but be a little disappointed. The role of Scar didn't have near the stage time or lines that Simba's role had. In the car on the way home, Joseph began reading over the lines assigned to Scar. He realized that even though he had less lines, he definitely would have a big impact on the play. He would have a lot of fun being the evil character. A smile began to creep across Joseph's face as he thought about the bright lights and curtain call. Okay, so we read it. Now we go on to the A, step A. And did y'all notice the acronym I spelled out? What does it spell? Unwrap. So those are our strategies you may hear me say throughout the year. Use your unwrap strategies. Unwrap. Okay, so we did the R, we're on to A. Answer the questions in complete sentences. So number 1, how did Joseph feel when he didn't get the role of Simba? What did it say? When he didn't get the role of Simba, it said he felt a little disappointed. So question 1, right there. So now I want to make sure I answer it in a complete sentence. So we see it says, how did Joseph feel when he didn't get the role of Simba? We could start by saying Joseph felt what? Disappointed. When he didn't get the role of Simba. Okay, so I restated the question as part of my answer, right? Okay, number 2. And then I also went back and I proved my answer and I put Q1 for question 1. Number 2, what is a director of a play? Director of a play. Did you see that, Kelsey? What paragraph did you see it in? Or what paragraph? It may not give you the exact answer, but it helped give you clues of what a director does or what that person does. Paragraph 2. Okay, so let's see. Towards the end of the afternoon, the director called all the kids together to announce who would have each part. That's where I see director. Do you see it somewhere else, Kaylee? Well, what does it mean? Good. So this part right here, it doesn't, and this happens a lot in reading, it doesn't come out and tell you a director is a person who is in charge of a play or a movie. You have to infer based off of what they're telling you in the passage what a director is or what a director does, right? It doesn't just come out and tell you. Okay, so we would say a director good. A director is a person who tells you what to do. Good, Kelsey, or good, Kaylee. Okay, we answered it in complete sentence, and then we went back up here and we proved it. Last one. Have you ever worked hard for something and not gotten it? Explain. Is this something we can prove in the paragraphs? Talking about yourself, have you ever worked hard for something and not gotten it? I can prove this in the passage. Gregory? Go back up and number where I found the answer to this. Okay, so he worked hard cleaning his room and doing chores, and then he didn't get a single dollar, he said. But is that something I can go back in the passage and prove, like put a Q3 next to something? No. So on this one, you wouldn't put a specific part in the passage. You would just answer it from your own knowledge, okay? So that one you would leave up to yourself. For example, Gregory's answer is going to be different than maybe my answer, okay? You may have tried out for a sports team and you worked really hard and you thought that you were this awesome basketball player, but then when it came time to try out, you didn't make the team, okay? You worked really hard, but then not getting it made you feel probably disappointed the same way he felt when he didn't get the star role, okay? So on that one, we didn't have anything to prove, and we're not going to answer it on the paper because that's something you could answer on your own, okay, using your own knowledge. Okay, so these are the strategies I'm going to be looking for in your assignment today. Unwrap. Any questions on those? I believe that's on your spelling list, right? Is it on your spelling list this week?